Okay, well, we got the usual PvP shenanigans coming on out, so we have tons and tons of scatting around the map for potential proxies and everything. And I believe Showtime is barely gonna miss this pylon. Oh, it's so close. All right, he will eventually actually find it on the return here with his probe.
Yeah, it's not. Is he actually going to build something here, Goblin? He does bring his probe back, but I don't think so. It's just heading home. So this is just hiding for the sake of hiding. It is an expansion from both players. Now, with the Stargate from Goblin up, he will go into an Oracle to begin with. So really is going into a bit more of a standard opener here on Eternal Empire. Of course, Eternal is this matchup, or this map we've got written down in this matchup as gives us great games, right? Because you can get to 3 bases, 4 bases, 5 bases very easily, very well defended. And that gives you the chance to go into those disruptors and those crazy scenarios where you start splitting up armies in half and fighting disruptors on 2 different sides. Now there's a void. He does back off and plays a safer game. +1 air weapon starts up the Immortal production. And we go into Void Ray Immortal. All these kind of high power, we do a lot of damage units.
Yeah, I have to say, like, I, of course, have seen early game Void Rays, end games in PvP. They can be really difficult to deal with. But I have to say, the thing that's actually really impressed me about the newer Void Rays is actually the slightly later game PvP Void Ray plays. When you actually start building up a large number, and you just need to catch your opponent out of position a little bit, because the Void Rays just kill things so quickly. I actually feel like that is maybe where I'm really looking forward to seeing Goblin's playstyle. It's not the early game Void Rays, it's the mid and late game ones. Yeah, that's a fair point. Disruptors starting to be added on in, and this is where the disruptors can really make it not the most ideal situation for Showtime to use that blink too aggressively, because as soon as you use the blink aggressively, it's like there's no escape. The disruptor shot's either going to hit you or you kill the disruptor. While you're killing the disruptor, all the Void Rays are just going to kill all your stalkers, though, so it becomes a very dangerous game. And I feel like this is usually that point in time that I was talking about where stalkers don't really feel like they're as great of an answer in these kind of Void Ray numbers, especially when you mix in, like you were saying, charge blocks and those disruptors. And this is where I feel like this big Void Ray count gets really scary, because it's actually pretty difficult to figure out what exactly is the answer when your opponent has that many voids.
Well, back around the left-hand side, Showtime's obviously just... He's poised to hit the 4th base, but do you get that opportunity? I really don't think so. The thing is, this is Eternal Empire, right? Where if any other map is in this scenario, you have a choice to go elsewhere with some damage at Showtime. But on Eternal Empire, you kind of just don't. You can walk into a full wall off of the natural, which Goblin can rotate to very quickly. You just don't have many options in terms of what you can do. He's going to start pushing forward here. The first disruptor shot is dodged beautifully. All those voids are powered up. And honestly, these Archons, they took a big disruptor shot on the left side, so they're all hurt. And Goblin is kind of holding on here. There's a few Zealots on the ground fighting away. Good kiting back from Goblin too. He's about to lose prismatic alignment as the Stalkers get underneath this army. I still kind of believe in the power of these Void Rays.
Yeah, I mean, the Zealots are going to be going hard on the ground, but yeah, the Void Rays are just way too strong over here. I actually think Showtime made a big blunder there, because the Archons were supposed to deal with the Void Rays, but the Archons are getting choked up by a shield battery, a pylon, and I think just maybe one other pylon. They weren't all getting in on top of the Void Rays. I think if the Void Rays had clear access, or sorry, the Archons had clear access to the Void Rays, I believe in that fight for Showtime, but he just didn't. They were just getting walled off. Yeah, Void Rays on the right-hand side means that potentially some of the units over here on the left-hand side are going to be able to do something for Showtime, but no, it looks like actually Goblin does split up both of his sets of Void Rays, and honestly, I think he's just at that point now where even the Void Rays split up half and half, it's still like 9 Void Rays. That's so difficult to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, that's the crazy. It's just so many. That's the difference. There's just so many of them. I like that this is Showtime kind of bringing his, 2 armies together almost for this fight. I believe in that a little bit. Disruptor shot actually lands on the top side, though. Showtime maybe paying more attention to the bottom, but he does get a base. And obviously for Goblin, that's a lot of lost mining. That's Goblin's issue, I guess. Does he have a way to push across the map aggressively? I feel like that takes away a lot of his advantage. He is on his way to carries if he can survive that long. As here we go, an engagement in the game. This time the Archons get some shots.
Disruptor also manages to land on a lot of those Zealots. Another kill on that 4th base. I think that is the name of the game here, right? Because we've already been seeing Showtime expanding much faster than Goblin. And it's just starve Goblin out. And actually, funny enough, Goblin is moving into the carrier transition, which of course is going to be incredibly strong, right? But carriers do have one other weakness, is that you need to be able to rebuild those interceptors. If you're playing against someone who just has double the number of bases as you, and you gradually start bleeding out those void rays that actually just offer consistent damage, well, the carriers, they're going to lose those interceptors, and Showtime might actually just be able to bleed out Goblin here.
Yeah, Goblin needs to take the 4th base again with these carriers. Like, you need to hold that this time around. Maybe even a 5th base as well, as Showtime goes up to base number 6, still on 90 probes. His economy is insane, and because of it, he's starting to build up a big bank. Yeah.
Look at just they don't want to. They don't know exactly where the army is.
Well, they don't want to blink in, right, because of the disruptors. So they got to be really careful. He's going to go for the carriers though, and he's going to get one of them. I mean, that's always going to be valuable.
Yeah, that's an expensive unit over here. And the rest of the army from the natural moves forward. He's going to just right-click down that natural. Cancel comes on out. Stalkers blink in for another kill on a couple of these voiders, killing off a few interceptors, killing off a few probes, which, not going to lie, Goblin can probably still afford to lose some and still be okay. But man, it seems like Goblin, even with some really cost-efficient engagements, he's losing units he just can't replace without a 4th.
Yeah, he's struggling a little bit. He's about to have a mothership show up. Not sure if Showtime actually has an observer around here right now.
Had one, but he doesn't anymore.
I mean, had one when there's this many like air units on the map, I feel is a very questionable statement for your Dragon. Or maybe a very safe statement, as we do see oracles from Showtime. It's a very reliable win play, because now you can't have your observer sniped mid-fight. You are obviously going to have that revelation, and it will last. I think Goblin just goes. You know, they've got this 4th base so many times. I think the more Goblin turns around the fight, the more bank Showtime has to eventually just rebuild off a big fight. And if Goblin goes as well, Showtime has to rebuild on his side of the map, and he'll be on top of that rebuild really quickly.
I'm mostly with you, Wardy. I do actually wonder, just because I feel like it's such a dangerous way to play, but I'm starting to wonder if Goblin just goes across the map, can Showtime just base trade it? Obviously, I think the way the Goblin's doing this really right now is great, because Showtime doesn't have a chance to just start backstabbing immediately, right? His army is getting chased down as Goblin moves across the map. This is the ideal way for Goblin to be able to move out. And now Showtime's gonna start moving across the map. Now he can start making this awkward for Goblin, but I mean, Goblin, frankly, just doesn't actually have that many buildings.
Yeah, I kind of don't mind the base trade in Goblin's favor, because I think it's good for him that he'll die bases. But you're right, he's going to be put into like a must defend back at home scenario much faster than his opponent will be. And so then he has to go back home, and Showtime can just take bases elsewhere. And maybe this is what, I mean, could he have gone across sooner? I mean, that's a difficult conversation to have, but it does put him in a weird position as these stalkers moving around all over.
Wardy, I'm actually really worried for Goblin now. He's down to 17 workers. He doesn't even have enough resources to build another Nexus. If he loses this natural, he's going to have to long distance mine if he wants to get up another Nexus. If he wants to get up any other real buildings, he's also supply blocked, so reinforcements are not going to be able to handle this. In fact, his reinforcements, okay, he's going to end up recalling back. Showtime did a very aggressive blink forward, though, and the disruptor drones are going off. Goblin handily is going to be able to win that fight. It is just about the fact that Goblin cannot replace this. He recalls back across the map with the mothership. The double recall.
That's such a sick play. Showtime was not ready for the first recall in the slightest. He was not expecting that army to be there. And the recall back across the map is so sick, because now you can get straight back to the job. Okay, Showtime's still base trading, but it's not that many stalkers anymore. And there's actually a good amount of units to defend with, so Showtime has to back off. And now Goblin's going to dive the main base. He's on top of the Drugstone Spear Dragon. And this is maybe going to reset this down to just one big fight.
Oh man, this is so tough for Showtime now. I really believe, but man, that split up over there from Goblin was so perfect. Having the Immortals and a Disruptor up on the high ground makes it so difficult for Showtime to do this. I love that Goblin's target firing down pylons. It's not just about depowering the production. Showtime is supply blocked. He is so ridiculously supply blocked that even if he had production, he can't use his economy right now, Wardy. Those resources are going to a waste. He has to go for it right now, but the Arco's getting in on top of all this. Void rays. Oh my God, Wardy, the Void rays are disappearing.
Oh my God, what is happening? The problem is for Goblin, he's got so much back at home. Remember, multiple carriers just missing from this fight. And that was a really risky engagement from Showtime, but he's able to make it work. I mean, again, Goblin still has this army up here, right? Imagine this was all together, and maybe Goblin should have taken the chance to kind of back away a little bit sooner, but I can understand why he fights, because if you're backing away, what are you going to do in the long run? Showtime still has bases in both corners of the map. It's a really tough little scenario, and I think Showtime has just got this good enough now to shut this down. He's got a huge bank once he gets his pylons online, which he's built 9 of them. This should be Showtime's game.
What? Just absolutely insane finish over there. Yeah, you're right. 3 workers is not exactly going to be enough for Goblin to just rebuild any of those losses. And every second that goes by, we see that, yes, Showtime's going to get further and further ahead. The Voidray's not even in position to help out with this fight. A Disruptor shot is beautiful, and it does actually get a lot of damage done, but an irreplaceable army goes down. Showtime takes the 2-0.